Welcome to the channel. My name is Lamont and this is Travel and That's What's Up. Well, today is another nice day in the neighborhood. And I just got through trying a new candy from Tootsie Roll. One of my favorites when I was growing up. But it was like a Fuego lime. Really good. Alright, so to switch paces, I want to talk about something that I think I know a little bit of something about. Relationships. So what I've learned over the years when it comes to relationships is that when people try to like make something work that really isn't meant to be, and they try to force a situation, it doesn't work. So in some of the situations I've been in, it's been, I don't know, I guess for better words, up and down. I guess that brought me to my conclusion that relationships in the States appear to be more difficult in the sense that you do share a lot of the same sentiment, or you're exposed to some of the same issues, and that puts a strain, I think, on relationships. And that's not to add the other strains that might come along with the relationship, depending on where it's starting, if there are kids involved, you know, the ages of when this is happening. Relationships have a lot of determining factors. You know, which brings me to the reason why I don't date in the States, and if I do, it's probably somebody who just happened to come over from somewhere else, because then that way they're not really subjected to all of the, you know, different things that Americans already know about. They're still fresh and they haven't been tainted yet. Haven't been corrupted by the nonsense that takes place here. You know, when you live here in the States, it gets in your head. And you, somehow it seems like people suddenly have amnesia. Another thing about relationships, people have expectations. And, you know, that's a whole nother can of worms there. Because depending on what they are, who knows? You know, it can change so many things. Open or close any kind of doors there. If you like this content, please like, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification button so you'll know when I'm dropping new content. It helps grow my channel and I appreciate it. So yeah, I think something flew in my mouth or in my face. Now I understand relationships are about compromise. I get it, trust me. No one's perfect. But these days, you know, having a relationship in this situation, it's like you have to have you have to have stress in it, because you got to have most likely two finances, so everybody's overworked and they've got very little time for one another, and that causes problems in itself. Now if you're a person that's never been anywhere or done anything or experienced anything else, then sure, you know, pursue whatever you need to when it comes to relationships here. But if you have the opportunity to go to somewhere where people are not oppressed with the information, constantly, continuously bombarded with a lot of negative information, whether that be about politics or well, hell, everything's about politics these days, so that category, you could push a lot of things into it. You know, then there's assumption. People assume a lot of things, you know. That's why I say in one of my videos, you know, you need to be straight with people, because it's like quicksand, building a foundation on quicksand. You know, you gotta be, you know, open. Hang on. I don't know why sometimes my mic, it acts funny. I guess I should just pause the recording. I don't know. But yeah, the off ramp. You guys ever get to see that? Relationships are really tricky, because you really never know who you're dealing with. You know, you could be with somebody for a very long time and not know exactly who they are. So for me, it's safer for me to go out the country or go somewhere else, because the same circumstances, even though they may exist, they're at a minimum, you know. And I don't think it's anybody that's here is particularly, it's our faults. It's just how America is designed, you know. It's not constructed correctly. So everything's gonna basically, you know, most likely fall apart, because everything evolves around finance. And that's the way it is. You guys know what this is, you'll know where I'm at. Yeah. So you got to be careful with these relationships. I think the best thing you can do is learn something, be open to, you know, differences. And that's something like when you go out the country or date somebody that's not like you, in the sense that they're not in the same culture, I think it's more of an eye-opening situation, because here it is, you actually have something new, something that's challenging and exciting. I guess in my case, because I've seen a lot, I've done a lot, I'm pretty experienced, so I'm not moved by a lot of the same things that other guys are probably moved by. You know, it's gonna take more than a pretty face. You know, because I know I clean up well. I know how to get things in order. And you guys gotta know, you know, what it is you like, what you want, and you gotta be honest with yourself. You know? I believe when you do this, it's a good start, because you're starting out correct. You know? You're realizing what it is you want from the very beginning, and hopefully you decide not to compromise. because that'll be the difference. When you decide you want something, you know, especially when it comes to a relationship, you really got to stick to it. You know, you can't really, because you're not going to get the outcome that you actually want. And that could be a problem, you know, because you can't, it's like when you buy something and you don't follow the instructions to put it together, or you take a medicine or something and you expect it to work a certain way, but you don't follow the instructions. Like, or trying to lose weight. You know? If you don't put the work in, you can't expect any results. I consider myself somebody not wanting to waste my time. So I really don't invest in something I don't plan on really doing. You know? Because let's face it, the one most important thing you have is your time. And you know, you have to be the person that decides what happens with your time, because it's your time. You know, you can let someone, you know, get your energy and take your time, but forget that. I feel like relationships in the States now are like disposable relationships. You know, I don't even think people get into them with really like set long-term goals. It's almost unrealistic now, because the whole dynamic is all set up around money. You know, and when it's a system built off of that, that has the potential to collapse at any moment. You know, so I don't know, this is my opinion. I have no idea for sure. You know, if you take a look around the neighborhood, some people think this is absolutely perfect because this is all they know. You know, all they've been taught, all they've been experienced to, or whatever, privy to. But really, this is pretty shallow to me. You know, look around. Really shallow. I don't know, guys. Gotta get your passport, gotta get on a plane, gotta get out of town. You know? See what it's like. Don't get me wrong, this is beautiful. Like most towns in the Midwest, you know, Chicago's got beautiful architecture, period. Hands down. But there's so much more. So much more. Don't get trapped behind this facade, because that's all it is. It's a facade. Go somewhere, do something, see something, be something. A lot of these homes, a lot of these people, they may have never been, but now they will be, trapped on a hamster wheel. The way things are going, it's going to be different. The future's not going to be like it is now. Of course it isn't, but I mean, Things are about to really change, I believe. People who are benefiting in ways they probably don't even know they benefit. All that funds is about to dry up. That's going to cause relationships to split. As much as we don't want to admit, because of money, especially in this particular situation in this country, you're only in control of your relationship as far as your bank account can sustain it. If your bank account can sustain your relationship, then you have one. But it's bought and paid for, whether you believe it or not. Pull the plug on your financial solution and see how fast your situation liquidates. It's going to disappear so fast, you wouldn't believe it. You know, everything is about how much I care about you, how much I love you. But let those funds dry up. It's a different story. Then there's the trust that goes into a relationship. You know, that's a nerve-wracking situation, depending, you know. And if you have some money, that's another nerve-wracking situation. And I feel like relationships as well as marriages are fragile because finance. You know, people, I think, get together because they anticipate, you know, they'll have money, they'll be well off. Look at this. But hang on, guys. Someone building a new house. Beautiful. That's a lot of house, though. It's a big house. Must have a big, big family. That's another thing. I would not get a giant house if I didn't have a large family that was going to live in it. It's a lot of space, a bunch of rooms that if you have little kids eventually will be empty. People shouldn't want to hold on to things forever anyway, I think sometimes. It should be like a turnover system. You know? Give everybody a fair shake. But unfortunately, it's not like that. So it is what it is, I guess. Things are starting to shake out, though. It's going to be a ripple effect. It'll start with the less fortunate, and the people with money won't pay it any mind. But it'll spread, and it'll eventually catch them. And by that time, it'll most likely be too late. You know, you can't keep feeding the monster, but not, you know, giving the people who feed it anything. Eventually, they won't be able to feed you because they won't be able to support themselves. So they can't continue to feed the monster. I know. Crazy terms, but whatever. Look at this house, guys. That's really nice. Lately, that's been going on in the neighborhood. Taking down old construction and putting up these big wooden buildings with a brick facade, but aluminum siding mostly. But relationships are super, you know, unpredictable and And there's so many things that go into it. And you're required to trust somebody that you're not born connected to. And if you've been through a relationship where there was a trust issue, or you've just been in a relationship where it ended, you carry some baggage from that situation as well. So, yeah. All right, guys, check this place out. Aries Orchard. It's pretty nice. Outdoor seating. It's this building here. It's nice. Cool spot. Another place you can visit. Some what is this? Irving Park Road. Yeah, it's on Irving Park Road. I don't know what this cross street is. I don't see the sign yet. Let's see. Man, it's always so darn bright. I need to get my eyes checked. The sign is not facing me on the other side. Hang on. Kildare. So you're on Irving Park 400 North, Irving Park 4300 North, 4300 West, Kildare. It's hot out. I feel like I licked my lips too much. They might be white now. They feel dry. Oh well. You guys will see it if it is. Yeah, so you got to be careful with, before you get into these relationships. I just think that since everything is about a come up or a gain in every relationship pretty much, it just makes it a little tougher in the States. Because most people don't have a lot of extra cash to flex like that. Some people do, but when you leave here, like I said, you don't see the point in it anymore. Like me and my son was talking, and he was telling me about a date. On a lunch date he went, and it was like an $80 date. Couple of drinks, some dessert, the main course, an appetizer, like 70, 80 bucks. Now, that's not like a lot of money at all. But when you leave the country and you go somewhere else and you see what that same money can do, it's tough. It's just a tough one to know that you can get more bang for your buck. And that's all the way around. From service, food, place, experience, whatever you want to call it. You're just going to get more. And you're going to most likely leave there feeling better about the situation because of what you've gained, what you've experienced. And like I say, only in Southeast Asia will you get that. You won't get that in the States because the States is not set up like that. You have to go to Southeast Asia. That side of the world, that place, because is there an outlet here? I don't know if there's even an outlet here. Let's see. I might be trapped. Yeah, I think I'm trapped here. We got to go the other way. Another thing I want to say is that the difference in dating different ethnicities in other countries, whether they be black, white, Asian, Hispanic, the values, the culture, the customs, the mannerisms, the flirtatiousness, I don't know if I said that right, the flirting, the curiosity factor, and the knowing that this is a new experience for you. This is a new person from a new place, you know. And that alone makes things different. Because hang on guys, look at this. Wait, hang on. That's a bug. Look like a leaf, right? That's a bug. Yeah, that's pretty tripped out. Yeah, but the newness of the relationship itself just makes you want to pursue it even more because it's fresh. It's you know, it's just different. It's not boring. You know, you're gonna probably try some different food. You're definitely gonna go somewhere different. You're gonna see things different. You're gonna do things different. There's a lot of advantages as well. There's a lot of disadvantages because sometimes that's language barrier or I don't know, mostly language barrier. And distance can be one, you know. But if you can get past those two, then you're going to be fine, you know, if because you have my shoe's coming off. Google, damn it. You got Google Translate. And then most of the time when you go to these other places, your money's going to spend better. You know, although that's changing as well too. But relationships out of the country, I believe, and I've only been to the big cities pretty much, New York, LA, and Chicago, and dated. Some other cities too, but Minnesota, I can't think of the rest. But the point I'm trying to make is that you're not gonna most likely run into the same situations that Americans share, you know, and that's refreshing. The conversations are usually lighter. They're mostly curious, you know, they're based off curiosity, the newness of the situation, the strangeness of the situation. So all of that's, you know, all of that plays into the whole bigger picture. And when you've dated here in the States for a while, sometimes that's what you're looking for, something different. You know? Now, once again, I'll say it. I'm not saying I won't date in the States anymore. It's just not likely. I like a more mature woman too. You know? Somebody that can teach me something. I don't mind teaching, but show me something too. Improve my situation, improve my life, make my situation better. Because that's what I'm gonna do for them. It's a fair exchange. I think. It seems like it. But no matter the case, relationships here tend to be a lot tougher to me. More complicated, in other words. You know? Because there's already built-in stresses. You know, and that's never good. That's never a good thing. And when you share some of the same problems, or you live through some of the same situations, sometimes it can be a good thing. Sometimes it can be a bad thing. So I guess it all depends. You know? Who it is, what's it about? A lot of things, I guess. But when you date outside of this country, it's more acceptable because you understand. There's a language barrier. This is new to both of you guys. And you gotta really wanna make it work. And I think that right there alone makes it even more special, you know? And this has been my experience. I find dating a foreigner or someone completely new is exciting. It's refreshing. And I don't really have anything like personally against women here. Because like I said, it's not our fault. It's not their fault. It's just how our society is. It keeps us at bay. It keeps us in, you know, like my last relationship. I wasn't sure if I had a partner or somebody that was in competition with me. It seemed like she was more in competition with me than anything. But you know, that's this country. Everybody's looking for the next best thing, you know, trying to level up. That's why I think it's like a disposable relationship situation here. The whole romance, the love, nah, that's not here. They make songs about it, but it's not real. Now, think about it. Young people, romance for them in the States seems hopeless. If you think about it. I mean, because, and then, you know, especially if they got tuition debt, they got to pay a bill as far as like mortgage or car note. They can't even dream of having kids. You know, it's not a reality in a lot of cases, unless it's a fluke, unless it just happens by accident. Some people still plan, you know, but it's hard if you're basing it off what you make. If you're below water, you know, when it comes to finance. It's a sad truth, you know. The country's not giving people a whole lot to look forward to anymore. And relationship is being one of them. That's why you're starting to find that people are like single. You know, stability and reliability. Because the only person you really can trust is who? Yourself. And that's a reality of what it is. You know, we want to act like it's not like that, but the truth of the matter is it is. You know, and that won't change. It's been like that, it's gonna be like that. You know? what do? You just keep on going. You hope to find somebody that's compatible, but even still, that's not a guarantee. So with those odds, why gamble all your time here when it comes to relationships? Why not really like explore everything there is to offer? Because this is your life. This is your time. And if you're gonna spend anything with some type of thought process, let it be your time. Use it wisely, you know, because you can get more money, you can never get more time, you know. And if you get the wrong relationship, you know, it's terrible, but it's very possible, you know. You gotta vet people. You gotta, you know, I think when it comes to relationships, you have to put up some real world situations. Hopefully they come up and you don't stage them. You don't want to test anybody or play with anybody. But you want to enter those challenges right away to see, you know, what kind of relationship it is. At least that's my opinion. I could be wrong. That's just my opinion. You know, it is what it is. How you doing? Everybody's out getting their steps in. I like it. I've been out here for, I don't know, like 100 minutes, hour and a half maybe. I don't know. What does it say here? Oh, 70 minutes. Yeah. Actually, I started it late, so yeah, I guess, whatever. I've been out walking long before that. I just don't have anything sometimes to you know, bring up. I don't have any topics that I feel safe talking about, so I don't start recording until something crosses my mind, scratches my brain, make it itch. Then I'll bring it up and talk about it. And relationships is one of them, because it's so popular. You know, everybody wants to be in one pretty much, or have, and if they do anyway. If they want to be in a relationship, they want a safe, good relationship, which is not always the case. But you know what? We're gonna keep going. But that's what most people look for, you know? They want something safe, stable, mutual. And it's just too hard to gauge here, because a lot of people backs are against the wall, and it's hard to tell whether or not you got something genuine. Unlike when you leave here and go somewhere else, circumstances will tell you whether you're needed, if you're appreciated. Now, I'm not going to say there aren't any tricksters, people up to no good. You're going to get that anywhere, everywhere. But having to sift through all these bad apples is too many. That's why, to me, going out the country is a quicker path. You know, because here, not only are you gonna most likely get like a 5 or a 6 or a 7 at most Overseas, you're gonna get a 10, a 15. Yeah, it's true. The chicks that you wouldn't be able to get here because they don't talk to you, because they already got this stereotype in their head, you can get out there. So who wouldn't take that up? Like, it's a no-brainer. Let's face it, on both sides of the aisle, people don't want to be in a relationship where they feel like they have to pull teeth. I got my mic turned off again. But who wants to be in a relationship where they feel like they gotta pull teeth? That's whack. So if you can find somewhere, or someone who likes you for you, and you don't get all that hassle, it's a definite thing. You definitely have to make that move. You really do. What they say, go where you're wanted, not where you're tolerated, or something like that. And it's a lot of bad energy as far as relationships are concerned in the States. A lot of women don't want men, a lot of men don't want these women, and vice versa. For whatever the reasons are. But then you also got a group of people who want to be with somebody, and it's created a big ball of confusion. And things are pretty messed up here, because even if you talk to somebody with all of the stuff that's in the air, you might assume that, well, this person only wants this, or wants to only do that, or whatever. And it may not even be that situation. But due to circumstances and everything that has gone on, and all of the smoke in the air, all the dust, this is what might be assumed, which may not even be true, unfortunately. Basically, dating in the States comes with its own set of problems. And they're hard to fix, because they're engraved into us. And for me, it seems like the only fix is to go somewhere else where that kind of mentality is not an issue. That kind of behavior, that kind of situation is not as prevalent, I guess. So you don't see it or experience it as often. Anyway, that's my reasons for it. If you like this content, please like, share, subscribe to the channel. It helps grow my channel. And hit the notification button if you want to see more content. But these are just some of the things that I notice in relationships. I don't know if this is things that you experience. Let me know in the comments if it is, But these are reasons why I feel like dating overseas, out the country, whatever, is a better option sometimes. Because it's America, people want American things. They want American expectations. That right there, I think, puts strain on the relationship out the gate for both parties. I don't know. All this could be wrong. Who knows? Now, I'm not saying relationships aren't doable. I just feel like there's an enormous amount of pressure put on a relationship in the States. And it's not the same type of pressure that you would experience out the country. The one good thing I must say, though, is that in America, you will have more choices. More options, more variety. And that's a positive. But I think that's pretty much the only thing. It being closer to you not much of a hassle to date and get to them. But other than that, man, I don't know if it's worth the headache.